We're coming now to our afternoon session. It's live streamed to all parts of this nice world, and we will start now with a moment of inspiration with Knut Schmidtke from Fiebel. And Knut, if you already can come up to stage, you're, let's say, German originated, but now I assume in Switzerland. And yeah, we said you're a leading researcher or a research leader, and that brought you to Fiebel, I think, about 2 years ago. And now you will want to give us some insight, some inspiration for the afternoon. Good luck.
Thank you very much, Marco, and thank you very much for inviting me to give a short speech here. What a special day. 50 years of IFOAM, and I, as a director of Fiebel Switzerland, I'm asked to speak to you here in South Korea about inspiration in organic agriculture. As a student in the 80s, what fascinated me so much about organic farming that I devoted my entire working life to it. I felt the same way as many of you. Organic farming is the most convincing way to produce food and feed in an environmentally healthy and socially responsible way. And farmers in many forms around the world have shown us in practice that organic farming works. In this context, it is a consistently well thought out system approach that gives us the special, indeed, original value of organic farming. Soil, plants, animals, and people are closely interconnected in organic farming. And it is necessary to further develop and to optimize the system performance of organic farming in practice, but also through research and development. A core of this success of organic farming was and is to convey values and to develop the system constantly. I think we all realize that without the further development of organic farming, it will quickly become history. I would like to mention 3 examples where I personally see a high need for development and transformation in organic farming. As we know that the planetary health diet, just reported by the Eat Lancet report in 2019, brings pressure not only on the diet, also on the human behavior to hold the planetary boundary. And that means that we have to reduce the consumption of meat, not only meat, also milk, cheese, and animal products. And in most cases, in the north part of our planet, because we have a diet is dominated by meat and consuming milk products. What does it mean for the grassland? Around 60% of the agricultural land worldwide is grassland. And what we produce on grassland? Milk, cheese, and meat. Do we produce any vegan food on grassland? I think more or less nothing. If we will also feel the pressure to move to more vegan diet, that means also for organic farming, we have to think about what is going on the grassland. We keep cattle not only to use the grassland yield, we keep cattle also to use forage legumes from arable land. And keeping cattle means, or ruminants means, a lot of methane emissions, a high climate impact. So for the future, we have to think about grassland. Rethinking grassland is one of our tasks. Could we produce some vegan food from grassland, herbs, or probably surrounded the grassland by some trees producing nuts? That could be not enough. We have to deeply think about what is the strategy for the grassland for the future. Not only in the northern part of the planet, also worldwide. Looking on arable land in the northern part of the planet, we find a lot of very proud organic farmers. The farmers, like this, both German ones, are proud of high-yielding wheat, of high-yielding soybean, as we saw also in this morning in the practice. And we see there's only one crop species growing. And for the future, we have to diversify this kind of growing. We have to cut this thinking, always growing on the arable field. Also in organic farming, sole crops, only one crop. That cannot be the future. What the community and what we should expect from organic farming is it should be always a mixture of some wild species and a lot of different crop species. To diversify, the crop rotation is not enough. We have to diversify growing crops. Biodiversity is one of the main issues. We have to provide more on the arable field, not only growing one crop. Here you see a slide of a picture from the German government. It is a brochure promoting organic farming in Germany. And you see on this picture, there's not only barley growing, there's another species. That's what the community, the politics expect from us. And we know that a lot of farming, organic farming on arable land is going on like on the left side. I understand from the past, but it's not the future. We have to diversify the cropping system on arable land, mixture of legumes with cereals. We know it from different kind of the northern part of the planet and from different parts. We have to increase the diversity, different crops, not only because of diversity for the wild animal species, also using biodiversity for food security. We know all the discussion about yield gap. And one strategy of more food security in organic farming is also maybe mixed cropping system, using the resource complementarity we have also in the nature. And the last slide shows also something for the future. We have to look more deeply what is going on in the cooperation between plants, animals, and all to microbes. We know, meanwhile, it is very important to set up a whole system, healthy system, to look deeper in the cooperation between microbes and macroorganisms. We know about healthy seeds, we know about healthy plants, how important the microbes in the soil or here on the plant surface are for healthy plants. And at the end, for human health. The healthy consumer is our main goal in organic farming, and we have to look and to understand more about the cooperation between microbes and macroorganisms, to set up a new organic system, a healthy system at all. Thank you very much for your attention. And my last message is, we in organic farming, thinking about these three aspects, we have to struggle on in all parts, not only in research, to be always one step ahead. Because we know we have high competition from others, regenerative farming system and so on. And we, as organic farming, we have to be always struggle on to be one step ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Knut, for this moment of inspiration. And now we will have some infrastructure changes, but I will order the help on the stage, which is then the next session we have. This is a session, kind of panel discussion with IFOAM regional bodies. So let's say with the leader at the regional level. And for this, I would like to call some people on stage, where there's from IFOAM Asia, Honorary President Zizi, if you might come. And you can applaud, of course. Thank you. Yeah, get some spirit here. Then we have François Lecadec from IFOAM France. Welcome, committee. And then we have Sven Shalit from IFOAM American Latina. Marian Blom, Vice President of IFOAM Organic Europes. Okay, thank you. Some self-functioning systems. And then Konstantinos, Micah Russ from IFOAM Agrippino Torino, and you will tell me soon again how it's called correctly. You see? And then, last but not least, Bob Quinn from IFOAM North America. Yes, applause, even if he's not here. Ah, hey, there he is, of course. How can you not see the head? But there's some light.
Should I say something?
No, you might say something later when asked. That's why I better have a microphone. Okay, so now we have a session where we talk a bit about the work at regional level. I remind you, we have here this full plenary listening to us, but it's streamed worldwide, so just 2 billion people following us. So it matters what we say, or organic matters. So it will be an interesting session. I would like to start, because it's also a historic event, 50 years, to look a bit on the roots, on the founding, on the foundation. How it happened that you're sitting here on behalf of your regional groups. And perhaps I would like to start, I think, from the official founding year. I think Agro-Mediterranean is one of the oldest one, at least I think the formally one. So can you tell us a bit how it came that you established, what was the founding myth, and where are you now?
Yeah. And thank you so much for this opportunity, and I'm so happy to be here with all of you, and with all of you. And by the way, before I begin, on behalf of the fellow panelists and our defense, let us tell you that Marco changed all the questions at the last moment. So this is very natural, very impromptu, and thank you for this, Marco. Yeah. So going back to your question, IFOAM, Agri-Bio-Mediterraneo, interesting story there. Like, it was actually founded in 1990. as Agri-Bio-Mediterraneo, as an effort to actually formalize the relationship of some pioneers of the time in order to promote the organic practices in the Mediterranean. And in 1997, it seems that there was a deal, an agreement, an invitation by IFOAM International to turn Agri-Bio-Mediterraneo as the regional body for the Mediterranean, and since then we are called IFOAM ABM usually. So when I got personally involved about 5 years ago, I didn't have the chance to meet a lot of the first founders, although there are some people that I had the chance to interact with that can tell us still stories about what happened these 32 years ago, because this year is 32 years ago for Agri-Bio-Mediterraneo, and actually 25 as member of the regional group. So it seems that there have been some changes in terms of how we operate at the moment, in terms of trying to be much more closer to what is happening in the global family of IFOAM.
So we're going to Bob Quinn to North America, and as you're probably one of the more recent established regional bodies, we are of course interested. How did it start and how's it going?
Well, am I on? Okay. That's a good question. So as you know, we had representatives from Rodale 50 years ago as part of the originating of IFOAM, but it took us, 44 years before we actually came back to having a regional body in North America. It's been a little bit of a challenge. The organic movement in America is, as you well know, is started by kind of jerks and spurts, and we have many now organizations that representing different fractions of the organic movement. And so it's been a challenge to bring in IFOAM sort of in a position where we're not leading the pack. We're kind of trying to provide an opportunity for everyone to join in the same tent. And I know in most countries of the world you probably don't have political in play and that sort of thing. But in America, there's a lot of maneuvering for people who want to be the leaders and spokespeople and everything, and maybe too much independence that way instead of joining together as one voice. And so IFOAM made an effort, folks like Brian Baker made a big effort in, I think, 2012 maybe it was, to start the discussion. And finally, about 2015, we formed a steering committee. The first effort didn't really take off. And a steering committee was formed. Some encouragement came from international, and there was a group of us. Peggy was very much involved with that. They wanted to really bring a regional body to North America, so Canada and the United States primarily together. And that took a year and a half or so of negotiations and discussions. And then finally, in 2016, we actually began. And it's been a challenge to get membership to be active. But we've got a core group that actually is quite good now. And we've got a couple grants that have come in. So we're working on some inclusion-type projects that no one else is really working on. And so we're optimistic that we're going to be able to grow and to become a viable force in America the way we envision it being a big tent for the organic movement in America, and invite everybody to join.
Okay, thank you so much. We're going more or less to this region, CZ. I think IFOAM Asia was quite established here, where we very close by where we are. So can you tell us a bit from first steps, founding myths, and where is IFOAM Asia at the moment?
Oh, yeah. IFOAM Asia, people say that IFOAM Asia established in 2012, but actually much earlier. We had IFOAM Asia, but dismissed in like 2001 or about that. And just because it was not working very well and finally disappeared. But in 2010, 2011, 2011, we were actively the Asian people, organic friends that we got together, and we decided to establish a new IFOAM Asia. So that IFOAM head office approved. And that was, we cannot forget people. For IFOAM Asia, I think Jennifer is, though I was the president, Matthew is the president, but Jennifer is a core person. Yeah, very important. I think one day, Bob, in the SOS meeting, Bob said, Jennifer, do you have a twin sister in North America? Would you like to have one? Yeah, this is, I think, very important. And also, we have like a Conway, Vitom, those people are very important, and also quite a few of our pioneers passed away, like Dr. Su from from the Korea, and quite a few of others, even including the Chinese pioneer. People said, I am the founding father of organic movement in China, but actually we have another one, 6, 7 years older than me, but people couldn't remember him. Yeah, but he was mentioned last year in our national World Congress. Now, passed away. So I think what we have done so far, we are quite successful. In my thought is quite successful, but of course we need to do quite a lot of things. But we can never forget those people, and only follow their ideas, their thoughts, then we can go further. Yeah.
Thanks so much. Sven, now coming to your continent, tell us a bit how it came that you established. We see there are also different stages, an official date, yeah, perhaps sometimes a pre-date where a group is there, might disappear. So tell us a bit there, what was the official founding myth, or how it developed, and where are you now?
Well, Grupo América Latina y Caribe, GALCI, was formed in 2006 and by members from Peru and Colombia. And by 2012, they changed the name to IFOAM Latin America from GALCI. And I've been president for the past couple of years. My predecessor, Homero Blas, also from Mexico, did a good job at trying to develop IFOAM Latin America. It's been quite a struggle to increase membership and everything, but at least we are surviving. And I hope that we can manage to get to more people and make it more interesting to form part of IFOAM Latin America.
Okay, thanks so much. Fortunate, can you tell us a bit about, let's say, IFOAM's members' involvement in Africa?
Okay, thank you very much. IFOAM Southern Africa was born out of an organization called SANOD, which is Southern Africa Organic Network, that was formed at an Africa Organic Conference in Lusaka in 2012. But then later on, there has been a debate on whether to call it SANOD or to call it ISAN. And we didn't have an office, and still we don't have an office, and we've been working with volunteers. And in that regard, there is a lady, Manyos Krihe. She has been the force behind it. She pushed it quite for some time, until she stepped down in 2016, 2017, and I stepped up. And now we are formally IFOAM Southern Africa, and we get support from IFOAM Organics International in terms of We have a website. We do have a mailing list, and we do have about 2 other emails that we are being supported by IFOAM Organics International. And we now have regrouped ourselves to include researchers being spearheaded by Noara chapter of Southern Africa, which is the network of organic agriculture researchers in Africa. And the farmers also being spearheaded by the Southern Africa chapter of INOFO, and then also the NOAMs. In the absence of funding, we don't have common projects, but what we have managed to do is capitalizing on the expansion of the cyberspace. And we do have an e-newsletter, e-magazine rather, that we do have quarterly, and that is being supported by Knowledge Center for Organic Agriculture. And so our newsletter is actually gaining traction, and we have now over 100 subscribers, and we are working for more. And we do have some social media handles that we're also using to support discussions emanating from the stories that are being contributed from the region into the newsletter.
Thanks, Fortunate. Marianne, perhaps about IFOAM Organic Europe. So we have an official registration in 2002, but we know, let's say, the network existing already, let's say, back to, let's say, 1 decade before. But so perhaps you can enlighten us where was the miss, perhaps 2 founding moments or some more, and where are you now?
Yeah, thank you, Marco. Well, I wasn't there, so it's only from hearsay. And but what I understood is, indeed, 2002, the IFOAM Organics Europe was formally established in Sweden, actually. But already 10 years or a number of years before, there were a group of people working in organic that came together in Brussels, because there more and more regulation came from. More and more things were decided in Brussels, so we decided we needed to have a fixed place there. And in the beginning there was, as with all these movements, there was no funding, so the meeting room would be the biggest sleeping room in the hostel where the people would stay. As a matter of fact, it's still sort of a home to many people. When we come to Brussels, we still sleep a lot in that hostel. But it's the ICA. And but so these people came together and they threw together some money to found a stable base. And they decided to hire somebody to really build up the organization. And actually, that was Marco. He was the first director of IFOAM. And well, after that, I think it slowly built it up in, we got a membership structure, which brought in some money, we gained some projects, and step by step we became more influential in the different member states, but also towards the European Commission and all the institutions that are relevant. And on the side, we were also successful in founding a platform where the research demands for organic could be formulated and advocacy work on the research needs could be done, which is the technology platform for organic. It's not part of IFOAM, but IFOAM is very much the, how to say it, the patron of it, or the administration is done at the IFOAM office. And so I think IFOAM Organics Europe became, well, it increased, it grew quickly, and well, this year we have our 20 years anniversary, and I think we can really claim that we are the organic voice in Europe. Having said that, I think it is also relatively easy, because we have relatively easy in the sense that we have members that are able to pay. We have a strong focus, being Brussels, being the European Union, which unites us, and that are the advantages, and that helped us to build this movement. But of course, without the people willing and engaging and putting a lot of their own time in it before it was formalized, really created the beginning. Without that, it wouldn't have been possible.
Okay. Thank you, Marianne. I'm now coming to a regional body or a national body in France. So you established, and I forgot the year actually, but you will tell us in a minute. But also, let's say, to unite the IFOAM members, as far as I understand, also to, let's say, impact more the work towards international. Perhaps you can tell us how it established and how it's working nowadays.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Thank you for inviting IFOAM France. And my person, I apologize for Jacques Capla, the actual president of IFOAM France. So, as you said, Marco, we are a national group, as IFOAM Iran or IFOAM Japan, that are not there today, but they were invited, I think so. We have been created informally in 2000 and formally in 2004. And a bit later on, we called IFOAM France, but it was ASAFI at the first time, and it means the members of IFOAM. So we join all the members of IFOAM OE, and some of our members are also actually members of IFOAM EU. And so at that time in 2000, we had a president finishing. It was Hervé Laprairie in IFOAM World, and I met Hervé Laprairie, and what we found is that there's no more democracy between the organization of IFOAM at the national level and the world level, and we find a solution mixing all the specific organization together for having one voice in France. So what else? Simply that we are quite active at the national level, and yeah, it's the only place in France where we can grab all the specific organization of organic agriculture. Because in France we have a strong organization, each organization in one topic, one organization for the producer, one for the processors, one like ETAP for the technical things and research, and one for the certification, and it's the only place where we can grab them for having collective ideas and collective position to go up to the transnational level, European level or the world level. And yeah, that's it for the moment.
And did perhaps one question? Did, let's say, this national formation help you also, let's say, on the national level work? Some uniting approach, perhaps, or some better coordination?
For example, the last task we had was collectively work with IFOAM World on the World Congress. So it was only our members who were with IFOAM World working for this Congress. So it's a good experience together, and we experience through this very moment, we experience the strength to be together, and yeah, we had an active task, and we did as we can. we had to face COVID, but we did as we can with IFOAM World, who did as he can also.
Okay, thank you, François. Now, as we have the celebratory moment, so we want to celebrate a bit. We want to celebrate also our success that we achieved on the regional level. So I would like to invite you to think, sharing perhaps one moment of big success with us, if it's an internal one or an external one, I'll leave it up to you. Also impressing our 2 billion followers online. So who would like to kick off from you? Susie, you wanted? so a success story. So of what, perhaps share a success of the work of your regional group that you can remember or you want to share with us, just to memorize a bit also, because there's done so much work and there are many successes. So we would like to hear a bit about that one.
First of all, I would like to say more about why we need to have IFOAM Asia, because Asia is a little bit different like the other continents. We have so many different languages, and we are mostly developing countries, and we have almost 60% of the world population, and how to work together. If work individually, individual country, there might be nothing. Some countries didn't have a national organization to organize the whole country, but after the establishment of IFOAM Asia, I think a lot of countries now, because they have their leading members, leaders joining IFOAM Asia, so now we can work together. The leaders worked together, and then they come back to their own countries, then their country's movement started and now developed. So I think it is very important, and we have done quite good on that. And on the other hand is regarding money. I think in the regional body, if you want to do more things, you need to have fund, just like the head office. So we have the different ways of raising funds. For example, like this county, Goesan County has only 38,000 people, very small county. But this county becomes a hub of Asian organic movement. Why? Because this county is very supportive. Though this county has already had 4 mayors, this might be the 5th. Within the 10 years, because one mayor, vice mayor took the place only for half a year. And also, even the first mayor was in jail, now out. But no matter who is the mayor, they are all supportive. So this is very important. Now, we worked with them, and we convinced them, we give a lot of evidence that we are capable and we are very useful, and organic is very important. So anyway, we got the fund from this county, and also we had our activities in China. The Goesan County is also very supportive, and quite a few of Asian colleagues went there, had several conferences there, and also in Bismarck City of the Philippines, we had in New Taipei City in Taiwan, we had our activities. So I think this is very important to dig out the financial sources, and also not only the money, but also enthusiastic of those city leaders. Okay.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And actually also double success in terms of how to organize funding as a key element, but also to activate, let's say, government leaders for the cause. Who wants to go? I will, as it's open question, it's more like an open discussion with you, so I don't want to do too much enforcement, but somebody has to go next, so better you do it voluntary. Fortunate.
Okay, thank you. As I've said, that we don't have projects as such, but this regional network has become a place where everyone from the organic sector comes in to share what they do have, and it has become a place of inspiration, a place of sharing best practices, and a place of learning. And we've actually seen some rising interest even from our national governments, whereby we're beginning to have some initiatives that are being done by national governments also being flighted in the magazine, because they are also interested to let people know what is happening. And we have seen that to be influencing quite a lot. And we have seen a lot of interest also rising. We started with at very first time, we had quite a number of countries which expressed interest, but as time went on, the interest kind of died. But now there's quite a lot of hype of activities through that magazine and the social media handles. And you'd find now we have got about 9 countries that are quite active. And as we speak now, Botswana is now also in the process of forming its national chapter. And we are not only working with NOAMs. In the absence of NOAMs, we're also influencing through contact organizations, and we have had some countries beginning to think of developing some national organic movements through that.
Okay, thank you, Fortunate. Go ahead, Maren.
Okay, thank you. Well, I think one of the successes I really think is a big achievement of IFOAM Organics Europe is that the European Commission a few years ago made a policy to make the whole European Union ready for climate change or to combat climate change. It's the Green Deal. And part of the Green Deal is trying to change actually the whole society towards a more sustainable way of living and more sustainable way of producing and to combat climate change. Part of this Green Deal is the Farm to Fork strategy, especially for agriculture. So there are quite a lot of different strategies there. One to reduce antibiotics, one to halve the use of pesticides. But there is a strategy specifically for organic. And so it's an EU-wide strategy. It was adopted, and it means we have a momentum, we have an ambition of the Commission. The weakness of it is it's only like a vision, it's a strategy, it's not yet ready put into laws and measures that are enforced. But we see it is a big help to get also organic much more rooted in the laws that are coming out in different promotion policies. And I think it's the big success of IFOAM Organics Europe that we were present when the discussions about the Green Deal started. And we were able to speak with a lot of the people there in the Commission, with the high level, the commissioners themselves, but also with many people of the administration. And we had support from other like-minded organizations. And together with them, we were able to have this very supportive policy. And it's still having its effect now. So I think that is a big success. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I think so. Marianne, thanks. And Konstantinos, you're tapping your mic. Is it a sign that you want to share with us?
Yeah, that could be it. Yeah.
Let's give it a try.
Yeah. It's not easy to look back, and I know it's a celebration and an anniversary, but looking back at 32 years of IFOAM Agri-Mediterraneo, first of all, I wasn't there for most of it, so it wouldn't be easy for me to pick one without being unfair. So as we also are gathered here to look where we're going to be in the next 50 years as a network and as a family, I prefer saying that our success is that we are still here. And we are at a very good position because as a regional group, we find ourselves at the moment having a clarity of vision where we want to go. We have managed the last few years to be able to raise our internal capacity in terms of participating in the network, but also trying to contribute in the efforts to go ahead. So that means a lot of new collaborations. So we see ourselves at the moment, and one of the attributes we count as successes is that we have raised the collaborations directly between not only Organics International, IFOAM Organics International, but one-on-one with the regional bodies as well. So we've been making an effort to sit with every regional body and discuss and find ways where we can collaborate. One of our successes is also that for the first time after many long years, besides the support and contribution in financial terms by IFOAM Organics International, we have managed to get our own funding at the moment. And this is also funding that comes with the possibility to also acquire new knowledge. And again, being part of a network where we can create the synergies is important, because we're looking for ways to find that we can share this knowledge. And last but not least, we think it's a success, and we are really happy that we managed to keep the profile of a community-based organization, meaning that at the moment we have not only in name trying to connect the shores, the three shores of the Mediterranean, these three continents, but also we are in a position where we can say that we have members coming from all these parts of the Mediterranean, and we have a quite active regional board representing 9 countries from those areas out of the 22, which is quite important for us to be able to bring those cultural ties together underneath the umbrella of IFOAM International.
Okay. Thank you for sharing. And yeah, Bob, you're raising
yes.
your mic so quicker than I can unmoderate you. So
Well,
go,
I knew
go
that
ahead.
my turn was going to be coming pretty quick. So anyway, you know, in America, of course, football is a big sport in America. And I can't brag about any big touchdowns that we have made, but I'd like to share a few advancements of the ball down the field. How would that be? We're just glad to be part of IFOAM, because in America we have the OTA, the Organic Trade Association, is really the strong leader of organic movement now in America in recent years. And so I understand that they have new leadership. Now I'm part of OTA too, so I'm speaking also from the inside. But we have new leadership there. Then I understand they had very successful and good meetings at Bielefeld here a month or two ago with some of your leadership, and we're really happy about that. Because it's important for us, we have problems in America that we are dealing with the government, with the USDA, and it's no secret there's things that now being approved or have been approved, like hydroponics, that are not generally approved worldwide. And it's great to have the help of IFOAM to really bring a world opinion to bear. And so we'll be at the next organic NOSB meeting. The IFOAM North America will be trying to testify the concern, the worldwide concern or something like that. So it's very important for us to have that kind of support, and to, we haven't got it changed yet, but we're making efforts. On a personal note, we had the chance with Julia and Thomas here Friday night to call back to Montana to the Aero meeting, which is our ground, our organic group in Montana, who just joined IFOAM a few days ago as one of the newest members after 50 years, and they've been around for 48 years. So that was kind of exciting to see 2 long-term organizations really come together and have a chance to speak by Zoom across the oceans, as it were, to the meetings that we're having. They're having their annual meeting this weekend too. And so that was kind of an example of how we can, in action, feel to bring the world together. And it was a great experience. So those are just a couple little items that give us enjoyment and hope of being members of IFOAM.
Okay, thanks. And perhaps one question more, because you mentioned that, certain developments show that there are different poles also in the discussion, and as in many countries. How you feel as a regional group, or how you manage, let's say, to keep the different opinions together, which might be diverse in North America, because you're North America, but also perhaps in this case, also US in particular?
Well, that's a good question. One of the things that we're trying to do with IFOAM North America is have a place where everyone could come and discuss, at least, because in the past that we've had people just independently going to Washington and expressing their opinions, and as you folks know too, when you go and talk to politicians, they don't like to hear more than one opinion. They like to hear one united opinion from a group, a movement, and we are really trying to bring that to fruition in America through IFOAM North America, that we can be a united front through across all of the organizations that are involved in organic. And we haven't had total success yet, but it's moving forward. And so we have great hopes that might be achieved in the near future in a very substantial way.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else who wants to join the question of success sharing? Yep, go ahead.
Very short, 2 success stories. One is for IFOAM World, when here in Korea 10 years ago, the French group asked us to pass a motion on the soil, the real tie to the soil, and the motion passed through, and it was a real victory for all our country, just to be listened and to have this to face hydroponic in our country or in region. So thanks to IFOAM World, it's the only place where we can mix all our high thoughts, and where the answer can be yes or no, and the direction is given. And the second success story is actually living with IFOAM EU on a logo called Planet Score. And there is a huge work from IFOAM EU, Planet Score is coming from a French organization called ITAB, and I think we shall perform. So it's actually on, and so on advertising, we have this sustain of EU for this, and I expect it will be a good story to say. I don't go in the details of this logo to put on the transformation products, but it is truly showing what the aim of agriculture is in, and we are facing other logos that is just greenwashing. So thanks to IFOAM EU to help us on this topic particular.
Well, one of our big successes was that we finally have a functioning board with an actual treasurer and vice president, Geronimo, and Vanessa as our treasurer. And with the abundant funds provided by IFOAM International, we're actually doing a lot. We finally have one of our success stories happened last week. Our website is up. It's americalatina.ifoam.bio, if you want to take a look at it. And well, I know it sounds like little to all you giants of this organization, but for us it's a huge success.
I probably want to add a little bit more about our achievements and our success. Like, for example, we have established our goal, Asian Local Government for Organic Agriculture. This is very workable, very useful to organize all the Asian governments, local governments to work together. And also we formed the Asia Organic Youth Forum. They are very active. And finally, Asia Organic Youth Forum worked with the other parts of the world continents. Then now, in the World Organic Youth Forum is established already. So, and also we have worked with the European colleagues, formed GOAD, Global Organic Agriculture Districts. So, and quite a few of others. I think we are still in mind, like Asian Organic Women's Association or a forum. And also, I think we need to think of the new innovation, new things to promote the movement. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Zizi.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just thinking that I really love that these examples and successes are now mentioned, and I think we should learn from each other as regional bodies and national bodies, because we really like this idea of the ALGOA. We really love the idea of the youth forum, and you see that it's well, if we have these good examples, and also the Planet Score that France was very active with, and without the work of ITAB and IFOAM France, we couldn't have raised it at a higher level. And without the good example of IFOAM Asia with the Youth Forum, I think we wouldn't have had the Global Youth Forum in Frick. So we see that there is this this exchange between the regional bodies. It shouldn't be limited only to this panel discussion. I think we should strengthen it much more. Huh? Yeah.
Already concrete action is coming ahead, I see. And perhaps In this regards, perhaps I would like, and perhaps not everybody needs to reply, but perhaps those who feel inspired. I mean, it's interesting to see what a regional body perhaps can do. I mean, what you can achieve. Also, let's say, to support your members politically. Your context is always a bit different, of course, worldwide. But what you can do and where are your boundaries, and perhaps also how would the world look like if your regional body would not exist? Yeah, so it means what would be there? Somebody likes speaking to this. Fortunate.
Yeah, thank you very much, Marco. I've actually seen that as a conduit for information to the region, you know, opening a gate to the region from the outside to say activities that are happening outside that can also even inspire people from our region. They're coming through the network and giving also a platform to discuss such developments. For instance, we have also been grouping together to listen to the new EU regulations as they affect us from the south. And we have also managed to share to the world what we are doing through joining the IFOAM Organics International's initiatives such as I Grow Your Food. And so we've managed to share as a region what we're doing, and at the same time learning from other regions what they're doing. So I think if that network was not there, the different organic actors would just be quiet and in their own corners, and maybe wouldn't have been seeing the growth that we're seeing, and there wouldn't be any dialogue. In as much as we may be able to do more, but I think just the network just being there, even without a joint project as it were, there's quite a lot that is going on to bring people together.
Yep, Sven.
Well, I don't know if it would have now. If it would make a big difference in Latin America if IFOAM Latin America did not exist, but the idea is to build something with it, and seeing all these great examples that are sitting here on this stage together with me, and of national and regional bodies, I think that we will succeed in making IFOAM Latin America an institution that we will be sorry to lose if in the future. And I hope that we can convince more members from Latin America, and we have the advantage that we practically speak only one language, not like CC, who has communications problems with a lot of them, but which does help a lot. But we are like a little bit like farmers. Everybody pulls into his own direction. So I hope that IFOAM Latin America does not cease to exist.
Yeah, same question?
Yes, and great. So for those who wants, it's not.
It's definitely kind of silly to think that if we didn't exist, that there will be a problem. And actually, this should be and is, as a civil society organization, our goal, for us not to need to exist, that these things that we are trying to contribute in solving, they've already been solved. It's the same as saying that we're going to save the planet, where the planet is much bigger than ours, and once it doesn't need our help or it doesn't, and we cannot save it anyway. But having said that, we are a region that shares a lot of cultural, geographic, and historical ties, which we can use to face the climate, political, and societal challenges we face. Because the truth is that even though the planet is fine, society is in trouble, and the time is not enough for us to to try to face the challenge on our own. And as Fortune says, if we exist as a network, we can then do it much quicker, much faster. And at the end of the day, remember, it's about humanity, and by bringing people together, as Ven says, makes a difference. So, yeah, that's it.
Okay, thank you. I'm also asking if you here in the plenary have any questions perhaps that you want to raise to one regional group or so. It's now a moment where you also can raise your hands. So having all those regions on the stage would be an opportunity. We cannot take so many, but some we could clearly take if there are any. Otherwise, I will just continue here, bothering my dear fellows. You cannot. You have a question to your fellows?
No, I have one more last thing I'd like to say.
So then you go ahead.
So you asked about what it would be like without IFOAM and the regional bodies. And I was thinking, lived many centuries ago a great man by the name of Jacob. He had 12 sons, and he wanted to demonstrate to them the importance of sticking together. And he took 12 sticks and bound them up and passed them around and said, see if any of you can break those sticks, this bundle. And of course, nobody could. And then he took the bundle apart, and he said, now see if you can break the sticks. And it was easy for them to break individual sticks. And I look at IFOAM that way, that we are a bundle, and together we can be strong and help each other in times of need, and resist some of the pressures and the negative things that are all around us. But together we can be stronger, and I really appreciate that about IFOAM very much. So thank you for having us.
Yeah. Very good statement, thank you. And Paul, you had a question? Sorry, can I just borrow this for a second?
Yeah, I had a question. Many of you have mentioned the importance of sharing of best practice. And what I see in the global movement is there's just gold everywhere. There's excellent practice for developing PGS, participatory guarantee systems, policy, markets. We've had an organic academy. Some of the regions are looking at establishing academies. Could you see some perspective in establishing kind of one solid global network for learning, for sharing best practice across borders, and strengthening our members in their work in all of these areas of advocacy and market, and building strong organizations?
And is addressed to whoever wants to like to say something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, somebody would like to step in here?
Well,
go.
You're thinking, because there are many different levels on which you want to spread the information. There is the level of the funding principles, the 4 principles, and what they mean in practice. So, and actually I've seen a wonderful display here at the expo. It was really great. And this is material that you would want to have in every continent, in every region. And if the academy could contribute to that, it would also be an asset to the already ongoing little academies in the different regions. And we could even take the information from this Goesan Expo and sort of put it in the academy. But yes, I think on this level there is definitely the need for a good, strong knowledge base. Just as with the lecture that Hardy Vogt gave yesterday, it sort of woke me up again. Like, I've been working with the principles for so many years. The interrelation between them, that health was the roof and the others were the pillars. It sort of made it much more sense. So these are the things where I think there is the common knowledge. We need this basis on a global level and be able to unite it. There are other things on a more practical level where I think let them be done at a practical level and try to exchange the knowledge between each other, because when you want to practice farmers on no-till in an organic way, it's very different from the region to the region, or crop rotations. in the African continent and within the African continent can mean something completely different than a crop rotation for a Dutch organic farmer. So there, it may not be so logical to have one common base, but to have a network with a good exchange of knowledge. And if you call it organic academy, fine. But something like that, yes, I think it's needed.
Yeah, just to add on to that, I would just want to reiterate that the Organic Academy is really required because generally what we don't have, what is lacking in the organic movement is knowledge. And this is knowledge that is lacking from different levels, be it from the farmers, from the extension services, from the even policymakers. Sometimes we blame the policymakers and say they are not being supportive, but the issue is, do they have the knowledge? So the way I would want to look at it as far as the academy is concerned is I would want to look at a strong structure that comes from the top going down or either way, but I'm looking at not a single institution, but a structure that allows the flow of information from the top going down, cascading down to the farmers in regions, and also taking advantage of other institutions that are within the regions to strengthen the training, to make sure that the training goes far, goes further, reaches everyone. We definitely need that information, but I think we don't have enough, our infrastructure is not strong enough to give as much information as would have been required.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Sisi.
So I think this is quite important. IFOAM Asia, we have conducted quite a few of more than 10 organic leadership course, organic foundation courses, and we have our trainees from countries all over Asia and even from other continents. And especially for Asia, I have just said that we have so many languages, different countries. People cannot communicate to each other. Most of the people, except those English-speaking countries, they cannot get access to even IFOAM website to read. And then we trained those trainees. This is actually training of trainers, TOT. So those people can go back to their countries to train their own people. This, I think, is very important. We worked very closely with IFOAM Organics International Academy. So Conrad conducted most of the trainings, and later on, we conducted the training by ourselves also. So I think this is very important.
I always look, because it looks always like on start, but look, that's not the attempt, right? You have? Otherwise,
I was going to say from a personal experience, I was invited to Mongolia a few years ago, and because Mongolia is much like Montana as far as latitude and no trees out in the prairie and wheat country, along with, of course, their animals. And I was quite astounded when I arrived there and not having met anyone from Mongolia before to find that IFOAM had been there before me by a couple of years and had done these trainings and had done a very excellent job of laying a basis, a foundation for many of the people that I met with their understanding of organic. And that was a real testimony to me of the importance of this. And if we look around the world, we are still, what's our percent of organic farmers? We're just a few percent. We're in the single digits for sure. So that means that the vast majority actually need to be trained somehow. And if we can put together a system, we can't go out individually and train everybody, but if we can do the training of trainers and use social Zoom conferences or whatever, in combination with individual instruction, I think that there's a great need that if we wait for the government to fill that, we're going to be waiting a long time. We can't wait for that. But we can be leaders and do that in very different ways that will fit the circumstances and fit the territory in a very good way, I think.
Yeah, I also like to take this opportunity to give our appreciation to David. David, you are the mentor, the good trainer for most of the Asian organic trainees. Yeah.
I would end with a last question to you, which is, I mean, you already said, Marianne, we should more exchange of best practice and so. So there's also a network council where you have a certain exchange on, let's say, recently established in some time. So, but if you now look on the future, let's say, in 5 years, so how you would like to profit from each other, how you would like and envision the IFOAM ecosystem working in the sense of, not like this, please. So you want a collapse. He wants a collapse. No, how we want, let's say, using the skills of international, using the tremendous skills you have in the regions, but also the sector platform. So, unfortunately, long question, but a very short vision statement from you. And you're looking like you want to start.
You start with me?
Yeah.
Well, okay, well, first of all, I was extremely impressed and very inspired by this conference. And when I walked across the street with day before yesterday, first day, Friday, I guess, and went into the IFOAM 10 and then to the company, the nearby one that gave the history of organic, and I thought, wow, I was so jealous, I guess, that we couldn't have something like that in America. And then I thought, well, why not? This is the great thing that I see that IFOAM does is set examples that can be copied and taken throughout the world. And if we were to take that display and put it in like the Bielefeld exhibitions all over the world, wouldn't that be a great thing? And to the major exhibitions in America and other countries that aren't the Bielefeld ones, but are major gathering points. A lot of people come to those fairs have no idea about organic, what it really is, and the principles. And that display was, I thought, very well done and explained that very well. And that's the vision I'd like to see, is expanding out from our little circle to a more general public that comes maybe just to look for a bargain at a fair and actually could be educated to what the basis of organic is and why we want to change the world with it.
Thanks. Who wanna go next? Vision is something the French like very much, no?
Yeah, meet together and meet together again, and put the principle very high. And it's what is the resemblance between us is the principle and the aim, and accept our differences and meet together again and push up the organic agriculture everywhere in the world.
Thanks, François.
Well, I think that we should try to implement meeting more often, so we can share experiences, good and bad, I guess, and take advantage of each other's, learn from each other more. I think we, as regional bodies, we don't have that much contact between us, and I think we should try and establish something more formal to meet. I don't know, maybe every 6 months or so, or every once a year at least, even if it's via Zoom or so, and try to learn from each other how things are, and take advantage of, especially for us who are doing baby steps, to learn from the other regional bodies how they've performed so well.
Yeah. I think I have the experience that Jennifer and I, we went to Europe. We joined your IFOAM EU at that time. Still IFOAM EU, your conference, and then I noticed the developing period is different. You know, in Asia we are mostly for popularizing, to tell people what is organic, what are the standards for certification, accreditation, and spreading the technology or exchange. But in European, your Congress, you're the EU, IFOAM EU conference, you have a lot of businessmen, your enterprises on the stage, discuss about how to marketing, how to sell the products. So I think this is different development stages, periods. So I think we need to learn from you, because I believe now Asia is coming to gradually to the stage like to develop domestic organic markets. Yeah, for example, China is now within the developing countries, the only developing country. Okay, some people say China is no longer developing country. But anyway, domestic organic market accounts for about 90% of our products, only 10% for export. So this is what we can learn. Also, Asia, we have other countries quite developed also. And also the other countries, I believe India might be in the coming years, they will have developed their own domestic organic market. So I think we still have a lot of things to exchange, to learn, yeah.
Thank you. Yes?
On to it, because I think Sisi mentions a really good point that a lot of the contacts, I'll change it a little bit, because what I notice is that a lot of the contacts globally, they go via the market, via the business contacts. There is where the regions meet and discuss, but they discuss prices, and discussion on values is there, but it's not the first thing in mind, it's not top of mind. And my idea would be that the regional bodies are cooperating in such a way that not only the sector meets each other globally, but also the movement meets each other globally. And I think that would be, well, at least my personal, but I think also my the European ambition to have this sector and movement much more united. Yeah.
Okay. Fortunate.
Yeah, just like everybody else, I see great potential for influencing each other, using the Network Council as the platform, and I think we can do more on the Network Council rather than just having meetings, going beyond that and having maybe more activities so that we can influence each other, we can learn from each other. And I also feel that the sector platform can also come in very strongly to support the development of the regional bodies in the different aspects of their expertise.
You will have the...
Yeah. So regarding some practical steps, things that already are happening in sometimes, but we can also make them more open and more official, is something that has really helped us is having regular meetings. So the Network Council that Fortunate mentioned is one, for team members to be aware of what happened in the other regions, but also regular meetings between directors and even boards. So something that we started a couple of years ago is having twice a year a meeting with our board from the Mediterranean and the international one, with the European one, with the one from Asia, and so on. And we think this also can be without agenda, just periodical meetings, so people can get to know each other anyway. So they can, you can help direct exchange directly. The other thing, and that's also, I think, looking ahead, looking forward, and that could be the, in our opinion, the role, this curation by IFOAM Organics International is how all this knowledge gets properly shared and also disseminated. How we manage to continue having what is called collective governance, because I think for our network it's really important. We are not just a non-profit organization, non-governmental, we are also a civil society organization. It's important to have a collective governance that it's global, and also this is the way we also communicate with the people, because at the last thing, that what we can do together very well, and that's probably one of the best inputs from regional bodies, is the mobilization. So how we can connect to mobilize our constituencies in our different regions. So governance, mobilization, knowledge.
Thanks so much. And here we will make, this is a good entry round for future discussion, but this has to happen now in the coffee break, because the session ends here. And I'm looking to the real boss, Neve, now. How long will be the coffee break be? 20 minutes. So you will have a 20 minutes coffee break where we can continue about the region involvement and structures and future challenges. Thanks so much on the stage. Thanks to you. 20 minutes, and then we see back.
Congratulations, IFOAM. My name is Michio Gozumi. I'm an organic farmer and the president of Japan Organic Agriculture Association, or JAWA. I'm very happy to celebrate IFOAM's 50th anniversary with so many members around the world. Over the years, our activities in Japan have greatly benefited from IFOAM's hard work at the global level. The JAWA celebrated its 50th anniversary last year. Looking back at the last 50 years, it was 1974 when our founder, Teruo Ichiraku, participated first in IFOAM International Conference. If there were one thing that I could point out about JAWA's contribution to the organic community, it would be the creation of a solidarity-based direct distributing model for organic products called Teikei. I believe that the Teikei and the similar model CSA embody the 4 principles of IFOAM. I sincerely hope that IFOAM will continue to emphasize its 4 principles, supporting small organic farmers and advocating their practice like Teikei or similar ones. Many thanks.
Thank you. Okay, everyone. Now we're going to continue with another panel discussion. This time it is the sector platforms. So if I can ask the people who are speaking in this panel to please come up, grab a chair and bring it into a line. It's a little bit do-it-yourself this time round. So we have Shamika from Inofo, David from the Seeds platform, Brian from Tippy, and Mahesh from the Animal Husbandry Alliance. Moved from regional bodies now to sector platforms, another really important part of our ecosystem of IFOAM Organics International and the organic world in general. So we're going to delve a little bit into, again, growth and lessons and learning and opportunities for the future. And you're not only being broadcast to the world, I'm recording you because I have a job to summarise the conference tomorrow, so I can't do 2 things at once. I have to record this today. So I just thought with A first question to each of the panellists. Again, that theme of successes and learning. If someone would like to start off with looking at telling us a little bit around what your sector platform does, so your purpose, and your biggest successes, and the challenges you faced getting there. And a volunteer to start off.
Okay, I'll start.
Go, David.
Okay, so the Seeds platform started in 2014 at the OWC in Istanbul. And I'd say that its greatest successes is that has continued at each of the OWCs to actually build a strong presence and have a very dynamic meeting and agenda. And one of the things that the Seeds platform, I think, did as one of its better achievements was and many of its members were involved with the development of the position paper on compatibility of breeding techniques in organic systems. And that has become sort of a guiding light for how IFOAM will go forward on this issue of organic seeds and breeds. And it resulted in a motion at the 2017 GA that said that what we needed to be able to do was have more and better organic seeds in the world, and that we needed to protect the organic sector from invasion or pollution by GMOs, especially the new genomic techniques, and that we also needed to be able to interface with the mainstream to bring some better policy decisions, not only to protect organic, but to just bring some sanity to the control of those things. So those were good achievements. And then I'd say a barrier or a challenge we've had is we had a working group that was following up on that after the 2017 GA, and we worked well until 2018. And then the previous director, or the new director at IFOAM, basically did not prioritize that work, and the work went to sleep essentially for several years. It wasn't until the OWC in Rennes last year that the Seeds platform said we have got to deal with this issue, especially with the threat of the new genomic techniques. And so they actually put up their own money. One of their benefactors their members put up their own money so that I could be re-engaged, essentially. And that happened just this past June, to be able to reawaken the network and take on this issue of new genomic techniques, and also to bring some more building of the network and to engage more organic seed producers so that we could really develop an alternative to the mainstream paradigm of seed consolidation and reduction of biodiversity. And I would say our success at this point is that it's really waking up fast now, and even at this conference and in the meetings we've had, I've had one after another very positive conversations, knowing that this is a really important topic for IFOAM and globally and for the organic sector. And as I've been saying for quite a while, I think it's perhaps the greatest existential threat that we face is the erosion of our genetic diversity. And so I'm very optimistic based on what's happened here, but we're just really still waking up these last few months, so we still have a ways to go.
Thank you. Going off script, I turned on the TV this morning to see what was happening outside of the Goesan organic bubble, and I turned on the television and Bill Gates was there talking about how they give $1 billion to the CG centres, which is, of course, the global home of genetic diversity, a year. How do you think that our Seeds platform can work within the context of that sort of powerful machine that is working now really closely with the CG centres around the world?
Well, we're probably not going to get their money. We might, or not in the near future, but I do think that because we have many farmers, many seed breeders, many people who are interested in this topic, in a certain sense, by sheer numbers of humans, there are many more of us than there are of them. And we don't actually need a gigantic amount of money because we have the people on the ground in many places, many farmers and breeders who are interested in improving those breeds and who can share out the results with local farmers to have a new model for breeding so that it's more of a participatory breeding, and by that be able to have a much more immediate, real-time, constant evolution of an improvement of these breeds. my sense is that as a seeds platform and as all the sector platforms, we don't get any money from the head office, right? We have built into our strategy now some way to get some basic revenue, but in reality, we don't need a lot of money. You know, if we had the equivalent of one full-time person, that would be probably more than we need to actually make this go for the whole network. And if you allow me just one, I want to point out, you know, Constantino said maybe it wouldn't be such a horrible thing if Agro-Bio-Mediterranean went away. I disagree wholeheartedly. I think that it's really important that the network and the regional bodies are present because they will be the ones to put them in contact with the seeds platform and the other sector platforms to disseminate the messages and the work and the contacts to their constituents much more effectively than it can happen from a centralized place.
Thank you. No lack of passion in the seeds platform, which is great. Okay, who would like to go next? Describe a little bit of the work and what you do. Schmidtke.
Yeah. When it comes to seeds,
Talk about INOFO first, but you please feel free comment on anyone else as well.
no, when we say about seeds, it connects to the heart of farmers, and so I can correlate and connect to what you're saying, especially because, yeah, but we have not yet gone there. So just to give a brief history of where INOFO started, INOFO is the seeds platform within IFOAM Organics International. And since 2008, we know we have a person here who wrote the first draft of our INOFO statutes. Sorry, I cannot say your name properly, but François, kind of, if I'm saying it right. But along with him, there's Anton Pinchoff, our person in charge who took the INOFO baby alive and kept it alive for some days when the situation was almost like some of the regional bodies trying to exist and keep the existence alive. So it started with 2008 there with the statutes coming in place. And 2011, we had our first General Assembly. And then every 3 years, we had our General Assembly. So we used to meet face-to-face, and it was only after 3 years we could meet once after 3 years. And it was a big achievement when we did that after every 3 years without missing a single gap. So that was the first baby step achievement that we had. And then, yeah, I think we got introduced as the young leaders in 2014 through an IFAD capacity building project through IFOAM, thanks to that support, because otherwise all the young leaders wouldn't have been in the place where we are now. And so that's the second achievement. And going forward, I think we have tried to bridge the gaps that existed between IFOAM and INOFO for a long time. And we realized that we need to actually build synergies. Like someone said yesterday, I forgot who that was. But we just need to agree to disagree on certain things. And let's say whatever we agree on, we should just join forces. And so that's now the INOFO strategy. And we are building it in the regions through actually organizing ourselves with the organizational development that came with the support from Andreas Hermes Academy. And that was the third achievement, to kind of converting an informal network to a membership-based, farmers-led organization, where farmers have the decision power. That was the third one. And yeah, so going to the next, with these several workshops that we had in between with support from Andreas Hermes Academy, I think we also started meeting quite frequently, and that kind of bonding is necessary between individuals. And if you don't have that bonding between the different parts of the organization, you tend to fall apart. So I think that has strengthened the movement. And in 2021, that's last year, in April, INOFO finally got registered after so much of ups and downs. And now we have our own bank account. So I think that's the fourth kind of achievement. And where we want to go, I think it's a huge way to go ahead, and a lot of challenges on the way. Like the communication channels is one thing, especially when we are talking about the global organization. And the languages, we had the discussion in the morning, how many languages India has, and I'm sure all other different parts has thousands of languages. So which is our language when we want to speak? So that's the biggest one. But to have a common language, but our common language is of being a farmer, actually. We first used to think that, no, European farmers and American farmers must be like somewhere up there and we don't kind of correlate with them, but it's not that. We realized over the years that we all share the same common language of being a farmer. So that is the way to go forward. And with the global setting up coming together, we now are focusing on the regions. So how we can collaborate with different IFOAM regional bodies, and because we are everywhere in all the regions, and the biggest challenge we have is being a farmer, as I said yesterday, being a farmer and being on these platforms doing this work voluntarily for the organization is the biggest challenge. And people want to do, they have a full commitment, but when it comes to the time that they can give is hardly anything. And yeah, that's where we are. So as he said, only one staff person that we had temporary for a year with the support from Andreas Hermes Academy made us fly like anything. And but that support has now ended, unfortunately, because that's not their mandate. They just supported in the COVID times for the farmers' organization. So going forward, we think it's important to build the synergies with the IFOAM regional bodies, but still have our own independence as farmer organizations and not come under, because that's something INOFO doesn't want to have. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Just before I move on to the others, I had a conversation with Schmidtke last night, and I was very impressed. Oh, she's getting nervous about what I'm going to say. I was very impressed with some of the courageous conversations that INOFO has had in their development around race and around power structures around the world and the impact of the post-colonial era and the colonial era. Would you mind just saying a little bit about some of how you've worked through that and some of the things you might have put in place to help manage some of those complex conversations? Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, it was quite tough because we don't speak about this on any platforms, but we had a situation where, I won't explain where and what, but we had a situation where yeah, color was an issue. And so we needed to put some conflict resolution processes in place, like what happens if people within a group start fighting with each other based on color. And that wasn't there in our statutes, nor was it there anywhere. And we checked with the IFOAM all the papers and policies that we have, and I don't think we saw anything there. So we just tried to put some things through one workshop as our guiding rules or internal rules, we call it, that farmers is our religion, irrespective of caste, religion, color, and all the other things that exist in this world. I don't think we have solved it completely, but we have started the process. So I think someday we will finish it. But it's important to at least put it on the table to discuss. Yeah, I think.
Thank you, because they are courageous and complex conversations to have. Okay, Tippy.
Okay. Where's the button?
Maybe we just swap.
Okay. Well, so much for knowing about technology. So TP stands for the Technology Innovation Platform of IFOAM, and we're the sector group that brings together all the researchers with the beneficiaries of research. We're working on research, development, innovation, technology transfer, and on a global level, and looking at the application and implementation of the research that's going on at various places around the world. Of course, there's a need for research and innovation for organic agriculture to adapt and change and grow. We have many, many problems that we need to address, and we believe that science is part of the answer, and we need to work together. So it's coming up with appropriate technologies. We were formed at BIOFAC in 2013 with generous support from FIBL, and the founding president, Ernst Niggli. And at that BIOFOC, we conducted a town hall bringing together members of the organic community, the organic farmers, of course, being at BIOFOC, members of the trade and the value chain, and got them in the room with many of the excellent researchers in the organic community, and held this hearing about what our research needs. How can research institutions support organic farmers? TP's members are institutional and organizational, and we went from that original town hall meeting and listening session to go on to have a consultation process with the organic community through various avenues, and listening carefully to the voices of farmers in particular. We organized pre-conferences at the 2014 Organic World Congress in Istanbul and the 2017 in New Delhi, or in India. I'm sorry, and at those various pre-conferences, we were again able to bring people together. Our greatest accomplishment has been to publish a global vision for the future of organic agriculture research and how that research can be applied and help organic farmers and others in the organic community to advance organic agriculture and establish research priorities, identify barriers and challenges. So since that time, though, since publishing it in 2016, 2017, and then having that presented at the New Delhi pre-conference, we've been pretty much dormant, and there have been some changes, and that we were not, because of COVID and other factors, we were not in a position where we could organize another meeting. We ended up not doing anything online for the 2021 Congress, and we are in a position of reorganizing, rethinking our strategy, and seeing if we are going to continue to exist within IFOAM as a self-organizing structure, spin-off, or frankly, we might even discontinue. So there is that danger. I do see a future for TP, but we can talk about that later.
Okay, got it. Found the button. Just a question before we go to Mahesh. We all know that the research dollar for organics compared to conventional agricultural systems is very, very low, the percentage of research funding that goes our way. Have you had any discussions or have you had any thoughts around how to leverage further support for research in organic systems?
Well, yeah, quite a bit. And one of the challenges, I come from the United States, where public research has been eclipsed by private research, and all publicly funded research is subject to requiring private matching grants or licensing and intellectual property transfer to private endeavors. It puts organic at a disadvantage in several ways, one of which is that it's really difficult to patent a system. The model for technology transfer that works for industrial agriculture doesn't really work for organic. So what we would need, and looking to models outside of the U.S. and looking to Europe, what I see and what I would like to have a conversation about is getting those beneficiaries of organic agricultural research, those who are profiting from the sale of organic foods, to put their money where their mouth is. And they're doing a great job of marketing organic, but they're not doing a great job of supporting the future of organic, which is very much needed. And I'm talking about the retailers, I'm talking about the food processors, the large manufacturers of organic food. And most of my work, quite frankly, has been with the input sector. And the reality is organic farmers do use inputs, and that there are some of these inputs are proprietary and they're licensed, and you have that business model being pursued, particularly in the biopesticide sector. That's not going to go away, and wishing it would go away really doesn't help organic farmers. So I think we do need to change the intellectual property system and the incentive system in universities, but I also am a realist, and I think we need to work within the constraints of the current system and the current dominant paradigm while we work to change that.
Great, thank you. Mahesh, animal husbandry. I often feel animals get a little bit forgotten when we're talking about organic agriculture, but you're critical. Tell us about the alliance.
Actually, this IFOAM sector platform, animal husbandry, it came up in 2012 during second animal husbandry conference in Hamburg. So it's a network, informal network of 150 participants who are registered with this. We have been organizing pre-conference linked with the OWC. So we did in Istanbul, then in Delhi, and then Rene also, because there are 60 participants were there. So we have also been publishing newsletters sometimes. So for last 2 years we couldn't publish. Earlier we were publishing. So what I would say that in all entire organic movement, livestock is a little bit, it's not progressing as much. And there is not much interest on livestock in developing world especially. Because what I feel that mostly organics in developing countries is driven by export motivation, that is. And the developing countries, many a time, they are not free from some of the diseases. Like in case of India, we have FMD. So there won't be any export possibilities, so people don't take much interest. But because of this platform, we could, when we are organizing conferences, it is a kind of a knowledge management. So how this animal husbandry, livestock sector can grow within organic movement, we are taking care of that one. Though OWC also has a animal husbandry, some papers. So when there is a specific focused group is there, so we can consolidate all the knowledge related to organic livestock production. So far we have been, in publishing our proceedings, FEWEL has been helpful. And IFOAM gives support in a sense that they upload into the websites and give the information and that one, but the publishing proceedings and or some other logistics, small support, it was coming from FEWEL. So I wonder that if FEWEL stop giving it, where from it will come? So not many people coming forward. That's why the participation also, and there was one special problem during OWC in France. They were charging the full registration fee even if you are coming only for the sector platform. Maybe sometimes some participant may be there who would be interested only in animal components, but they had to pay full registration fee for entire conference. That was too much for many participants. That should be looked into in the future, that if I am going there for livestock conference only, pre-conference, then why I should pay for OWC on the whole. So that is an issue. So we have published all the proceedings of all the 3 conferences we organized, plus one other conference other than the OWC, we also organized this one. So a lot of papers were read, they are published, and that is also kind of a very much knowledge management tool, and people can understand that then the information sharing is there. Say, for example, I'm giving just one example. So what happens now in the Europe, there is a lot of interest in keeping calf together with cow, cow together. So whenever such presentations are being made, that is an age-old practice in India. That is not something new for us. So if that knowledge can be shared with the other European people, those who are now coming up for the, because otherwise they were weaning calf, keeping separate from the day one. But now they are realizing that now up to 2 months, 3 months, calf can live with cow. That research is going on in, that we have learned through European networks research. So Organic Plus is there. So that is a good, that information can be shared with the developing countries that what this kind of research is going on that. So in livestock sector, so this IFOAM has played really a crucial role, I feel that. Thank you.
What I would also like to see is, we're called self-organized structures. I like action group better because I don't think we should be completely self-organized anymore. I think we should be inherently supported as part of the strategy of IFOAM Organics International, because I think the power is in the whole action network. And so, I kind of called out my conversation with Konstantinos, or his comment before, but he actually got me really thinking about this. It's like, there's just a wealth of connections out there of people who I or any other coordinator are not going to be able to know about. And so we need to be able to, as Fortunate had said, we need to be able to share our knowledge and our activities with the rest of the network so that they can be disseminated. And it's not only for action, but I think it's also for the knowledge transfer that Mahesh just mentioned, right? So that our knowledge is somehow funneled through a channel in the head office that the regional bodies are able to access, and maybe there's enough awareness in the head office that they can sort of facilitate that. Or we see there's a problem here or a challenge, and they know that there's other resources available within our ranks. In terms of the farmers, I think that, and in OFO, that's basic. The farmers are the ones who use the seed, and I would also say the breeds. There's probably some crossover between the livestock breeds and the seeds in terms of genetic engineering and that sort of thing. But one of the other things that I think it's important is to be able to, for the seed platform, to be able to have a good linkage with an OFO and the farmers so that we respond to the different needs that they have in the different contexts and laws of their regions. So yeah, that's my goal, is that it's an inherent activity of what we do because that benefits our members and the sector.
Go.
Okay. Yeah, so 5 years from now, it's, as I said, we're at a crossroads. We surveyed the membership, and of the 3 different options, I think it's fair to say most people want to see TP continue, and most people who want to see TP continue want to see it remain an integral part of IFOAM, of a member of the IFOAM network. That said, the members, when we asked for their vision of what they would like to see in, say, 5 years, diverged. And I have my own personal opinion, and the members have theirs. Some of the most compelling visions involve creating a consortium of research institutions that are working on organic agriculture. And we need to look at different models. So there is, of course, we need more capacity for organic agriculture research everywhere. But most of the capacity, existing capacity, is in Europe and North America. And we really need to build capacity in Asia, Africa, and Latin America, and we need to do so in a fair and
the Pacific.
I'm sorry?
And the Pacific.
And the Pacific. Thank you, thank you. What else did I leave out? Thank you. So yeah, we need to build capacity in these other parts that really have not gotten that investment, but we need to do so in an equitable way, not a neo-colonial way. And what I would really like to see, getting around to working with an OFO, is having a peer-to-peer network where farmers and researchers are equals in the development of technology and innovation. You talk to organic farmers, most of them will say they learned new techniques and they learned about organic farming from other farmers. So we need to rethink technology diffusion and how technology transfer takes place. And INOFO is central to that.
Thank you. Okay.
I would like to just, if I could, speak for the other sector platforms who are not here, in particular aquaculture and apiculture, because these, like the sector platforms here, we're all global concerns, right, as part of the organic movement and sector. And when I was working in the head office, actually, I was asked to facilitate the aquaculture working group because they needed help. And so the head office actually decided to devote some resources to that to be able to animate them to do some of this kind of work. And so I think it's because we have these sort of global reach topics, then the regional bodies can use them as they want. So there needs to be more of that sort of integration of the two. And it would seem to me that the head office is the one to sort of make sure that kind of happens, right?
Thank you. Schmidtke, how would you like all the sector platforms, or what's it look like for the sector platforms to be working effectively with INOFO?
Yeah, I think, as I said already, we said with the regional bodies, because with the sector platforms, we were not sure, frankly, to say that it existed. Because we know now that it has been a struggle for INOFO in the past, and now we also hear from others how they have the challenges also. And it's interesting to see because all the sector platforms are so much related and integral part of INOFO. So once, either we collaborate and we together strengthen ourselves is an idea, but otherwise I don't see any other way to strengthen ourselves. Because we are so small in hands. Many times I feel in the movement we are talking about like these different principles and natural farming, organic, agroecology, biodynamic, and people fighting with one another. But we forget our main enemy is somewhere else, and we are fighting among ourselves. So I think it's just the same thing as I said for regional bodies, same as for the sector platforms. We have to build bridges and see what we can collaborate with and what do we agree with and what do we don't agree with. The things that we don't agree, we keep it aside, and what we agree, we just join hands and go together. That's important. And I think together, like who said in the morning about the sticks and breaking of I think Bob said that. I felt it so much connection because in INOFO, when this whole rejuvenation of INOFO happened, we did discuss this like at length in one of the workshops, whether INOFO wants to be within IFOAM network or wants to be separate by itself. And after a huge discussion and fiery discussion, we finally decided, no, we want to be within IFOAM network. And because it has its own strengths and its history, and now when we hear Hardy yesterday and Bob, it just feels the sense of ownership, which we never felt it before. So yeah, I think that's the key.
Great, thank you. I'd now like just to open it up to the audience. We've got a wealth of experience up here that you can all pick their brains. Julia?
I don't need that.
Okay.
I think it's for the
I'll repeat
live
the question.
session.
Yeah.
No?
Mm.
Basically, because based on what Schmidtke said, that it's global, well, David, I think you said it now, but how you and how to talk to others, because we are talking all the time within ourselves. How we position it that INOFO goes and talks with non-organic farmers and has the exchange and brainwash them to join us. How David goes and talks with the seed companies and the seed buyers, etc. And hippie, how you go and talk with other researchers. That I think we have been talking a lot among ourselves. And we need to keep on talking and keep on communicating, but also how we jump and take the next step, no?
Okay. So for those watching online, the question is, how do our sector platforms reach out to those working in these particular areas outside of the organic movement. Who'd like to go first? Dave?
We kind of have it sort of starting to be baked into our strategy, is that for us, in terms of the long-term goal or the broader objective that we have, this is an issue which touches anybody who cares about ownership of their seed and dominion of their seed. So we're focusing on this concept of seed sovereignty. And that can apply to you whether you call yourself organic or not. There are many farmers or many consumers, many companies who are interested in that. So what we look to when we go outside is what's the common message? What's the common objective that we share? And allow them to participate in that, because even if they don't certify their seed as organic, and as long as they produce it according to methods that are compatible with our principles, then they're welcome to join it.
And David, how about the crop life companies or American Seed Trade Association, those organizations and seed companies that, at least one of them has a policy of never growing organic seed because they believe it's against their interests. How would the seed platform engage them?
Well, if they don't want to engage us necessarily, then we probably wouldn't engage them. On the other hand, though, I have also met companies who are, their main thing is GMOs, but they want to kind of talk us over to their side, right, or be included. I think we would have to look very cautiously at those and leave it up to our own constituency in the seeds platform to make sure that we are really following the principles and following the objectives of IFOAM. And my hope is that we would be building enough of a constituency outside of those forces that it wouldn't become such a weighty conversation or take up that much of our time.
May I? Yeah, I think with the farmers' organizations, it is relatively easier than the seeds, I guess. Because we have already started doing this with there's IFAD Farmers Forum. And we as an OFO, with obviously the work of IFOAM Organics International, we have one seat in the IFAD Farmers Forum. And we have all others are the conventional farmer organizations. But over the years, we have to just keep this mind in basic thing that all are human beings. And they have same feelings as us and everything else. So it is nice to just be friends with them, try to build the bonding between one another. And we realized that over the years, once you have that in place, people do come to you. So now there are at least 2 to 3 organizations who have come to Innofo to collaborate on, if not organic, but agroecology as the first step. So I think that's kind of a achievement, let's say.
Yeah, great. Using those platforms that do exist. Mahesh?
Actually, it is easier for us also because there are so many animal welfare organizations. So far, we have not been sending the brochures or conference attendance. So they may have some interest into it, and sometimes they can sponsor the events also, because humane treatment to animals now, many people are taking interest in that area. So it connects well with them. So so far we are contacting only the professionals, university professors, scientists and all. So now our constituency can go further beyond that. So I think that will attract many people. So we have to contact animal welfare organizations. They may not be for animal livestock products production. So just for the other regions also, sometimes those who are raising animals, so pets and also. So that maybe also can be brought into it. So it will expand our basis. This is what I feel. So far we have not done it. Now I got the idea about this one. So we can do now onwards that.
Right. With technology and research, it's much more difficult because so many researchers are, especially at public institutions, are working in institutions that are predominantly oriented toward conventional agriculture and often are in vulnerable places when it comes to speaking out about academic policy and the direction of research, to the point where even today some people who are doing organic research at major universities are being called into question and having their tenure or livelihoods threatened. So it's been a contentious issue within TP whether we should allow research institutions that have very little, if any, organic agriculture research being conducted within them, but they want to be at the table, they want to be able to look at what's going on with TP, and I'm of the school of being transparent, of being inclusive, of yes, we are in an adversarial position with them, but we're not going to win them over by slamming the door in their face. We need to stand up and do our job and do good science and take them on their terms. Others think that that's a foolish proposition, and what the IFOAM policy will require us to do is to establish criteria for membership within TP that's consistent with the membership of being a member of IFOAM Organics International under the one-member policy. So that decision has been taken from us. How we engage with them under those rules will change and evolve. I do think that we're on the right side of history and that we will eventually prevail in the scientific debates, but in the meantime, we are faced with a dominant paradigm that remains unfriendly.
Great. Another question? Yep, Bablu.
It's kind of a mix between question and statement. One of the problems that I keep facing when I hear these kind of discussions is all about this research being done in these great research organizations in the West, in the North, in Europe and other places. Yeah? And I'm surprised from Dr. Mahesh, he's my very close friend. We have over 330 breeds of cattle in India. And some of that cattle has been taken and used in places like Brazil. And we have allowed these Europeans to do the research and then tell us to use European breeds in India. And this is something I can't understand. We have some fantastic breeds, and why are the Indian scientists not doing something about
actually,
it? No,
it has been realized now.
The second thing is, when you talk about seed, there are more than 50 people I can introduce you to in India who are breeding seeds themselves and are fantastic seed breeders. But I have not heard in any paper of IFOAM any mention of the seed breeders in the South, in the countries like China, India, Philippines, or Indonesia, where people are breeding. Individual farmers are breeding. And this does not appear in any paper. That's my comment that I would like to make.
Let me answer.
Yeah, please.
Actually, what happened during 1960s, there was a scarcity of food in India. So that foreign intervention came in terms of the logistics, materials, food, supplies, and they told that we should go for crossbreeding. And that was a necessity at particular time. So people, because selection upgradation of animals, just like it was taken to Brazil and Argentina, and they raised it for beef by improving the breeding. So in India, at that particular point of time in 1960s, it was thought that if we introduce exotic breeds, yield will go up and the food scarcity. That happened in case of crops also. We started raising the drop varieties, hybrids, and that came in 1960s. And the US was supporting PL 480 schemes. A lot of food was coming from there. Now we have strengthened ourselves, now economy is better. So current government is focusing on indigenous breeds. And that's why they are talking of natural farming also. In natural farming, they mean by that only. Whatever our indigenous strains are there, they need to be strengthened by selection upgrades. What he is saying now there is not much focus on crossbreeding. That is only improving the Indian breed's potential. Because now we can afford. At that particular time, we were not in a position to afford that thing. That is why it was happening. And that is the story of many developing countries. Thus. So we can't say that the foreign aid, that why it is coming, why we are listening to them. That was the compulsion actually, what I believe.
Okay, thank you.
Can I respond to the seed part of that? So I don't know about the published papers, Bablu, but what I would say is if you know those 50 seed breeders, I want to know about them as the secretary of the Seeds platform so that we can engage them and make them part of the resource and then be able to perhaps spread that word further to the people who might be able to benefit from it. One of the things that I think the head office can really do and serve as a global organization is this coordinating and clearinghouse of information that the network can use. And I had a very interesting conversation with the IT officer from the head office, and he just spoke to me about what he called digital assets. And we have some very good digital assets that don't require a huge amount of infrastructure. They're easy to use in terms of these Google Map functions and directories. They're sortable. I think it would be a hugely efficient or powerful use of resources to develop those so that they could be available as a public benefit that we could probably, fund through some, minor amount of funding. And it's more ways that we can show our impact and then just get maybe some bigger funds for that.
Great, thank you. Any final question before we wrap up? Go ahead, Li Feng.
Still not on.
Yesterday, Karen was asking a question to you personally, what stops you first step forward? I think in a way for IFOAM, even for my personally, to carry on more things, money is very important. That's to be straight as a staff. And fundraising is also very, very important in a way for our organization. And if we want to get a project like what's happened in Goesan County, organic farming is a very big concept. You have to organize many of the concepts in smaller ones. Not many of the sectors, they really care about holistically saying organic, but maybe they will care about organic milk, organic honey, but it's very hard to find someone care about organic as a big concept. And I think in this way, sector platform really can make a very big difference or step further. Are you really thinking of to do more fundraising and organize maybe events to link with the big companies, they sponsor us? Because for example, if I go to find maybe some fundraising in China, I have to go to the local governments because as IFOAM, you're talking about organic agriculture, but if organic milk or from the animal husbandry sector platform, it's much easier. Maybe you can talk with the big companies. And this is from only the fundraising perspective, but another one is I really value the sector platform is it's more inclusive than organic agriculture itself because you can also invite consumers or you even like a milk company, they can invite their customers into this event. Because if you are talking about organic agriculture itself, it's very hard for us to invite those who don't really know organic much. But if you are talking about organic milk, then milk everyone knows. And it's very easy to get them in. And in this way, I'm really thinking maybe in the future, we can have some try as sector platforms to organize more things rather than just go there saying, drop them a very big concept saying organic agriculture. So this is, maybe from head office perspective and also from sector platform. So I would like to know, do you have any idea on this?
Thanks, Li Feng. Yep.
Yeah, I think for Renofo, we have been learning and understanding by doing. So we realized that first we started doing some fundraising in BioFac for ourselves. And then we realized, no, it doesn't work like this. First, we need to have our own needs in place, like what are our needs as farmer groups. And then we need to have a strategy in place and a business model in place, and then you can ask for donations or you can ask for funds and projects. But before that, without knowing what we want to do, just asking for funds was quite a challenge. So we understand by doing it. And as rightly Lee said, we need to approach governments, and that is important. So, but what we learned is, and that is in our plan for the next 5 years, that once we have this place in place, what we want to do, then we approach different income sources. One of them is donations, donor funding, government funding, but also what Bablu has been suggesting since many years for IFOAM as for the membership, but a smaller amount of membership, but on a wider number. So we are developing on a concept called $1 per month or per 6 months or per year, but a smaller amount that farmers can afford, and but the numbers are huge with the number of farmers that we can calculate. So that is also one of the strategies. Let's see where it goes. Thanks.
Does anyone else want to respond to that?
Sorry, I just wanted to add, we have T-shirts as one of our smaller initiatives till we go to the bigger ones.
Buy a T-shirt, $25 or equivalent or more if you're generous.
So I don't know, Liu-Feng, if I answer your question exactly here, but in the historically in the seeds platform, it's pretty much been all left to the breeders to figure it out for themselves, or maybe the seed companies. But what we understand now is it really takes the entire value chain to pull on that chain and to incentivize and give the reward to those people who are furthest upstream in the chain to actually do their work and be able to make a livelihood at it. That is one of our biggest challenges at that part of the chain, is to actually find out how are we going to have the succession plan and have those people in place and not have them be attracted to essentially genetic engineering as their only alternative to make a living.
Great, thank you. Yes, Mahesh?
Actually, the moment we ask for membership fee and people ask what they will get out of it, that's the biggest problem. Maybe IFOAM itself is facing that problem. So there are not many members from India, for example. Say, for example, if I develop a registration paper, you apply for and pay for this, immediately they ask what they will get out of it. So this is what is another problem. People don't appreciate that they will get chance to get connected. Even if they are not member, they can attend the conferences. So there is no real motivation for paying. What is the reward for that? That's
Yep. Okay, any final words from you? No?
Well, yeah, I can add our experience. We're broke too. And it's it is an issue. We really don't require that much, but what I'm curious about though, David talked about who's missing, and I'm an old timer, not as around as long as Hardy or Bernward, but. I remember when there was a trade sector platform, when there was a retailer sector platform, when there was a certifier sector platform, and those are gone. And I know some of the backstory for each of them. I don't know the whole story, and with these self-organizing structures, they rise, they fall. They sometimes rise again, they sometimes sink into the dust, and a lot of it has to do with people and how much the people in each of those sectors care and how much they're willing to give. And Schmidtke has my tremendous admiration for all that she has done, and INOFO serves as the model for the other sector platforms, and We really, I mean, the rest of us all depend on the farmers, and we all need a strong INOFO and a vibrant INOFO.
Great. Well, I'd like to thank the questions from the audience and also thank the panelists. I think the sector platforms in lots of ways is where the rubber hits the road in organics. It makes us very relevant to people who are practicing organics in the field, and is a really critical part of the network, but also part of our information ecosystem and what we're able to provide and where we're able to add value to organic agriculture sector as a whole. So thank you all for the very many voluntary hours you put in, and we look forward to many more voluntary hours from all of you. And please don't forget to buy an INOFO t-shirt. Thanks everybody.